struggle as they have, Invictus Gaming still able to pick up the 2-1 victory after a couple of team fights went TOP's favor and they would have taken a game for themselves. Now we're about to move into the second match. Also going to be played live here from Shanghai. It's going to be Suning taking on EDG. Suning's a team that currently 2 games ahead of everyone else in that 4th place spot, looking to try and secure that and lock it down, potentially move further up in the rankings. EDG had a decent Rift Rivals showing, then bouncing back into the LPL, dropping a game there, not doing too good so far. They need to secure as many wins as possible.
Yeah, Edward Gaming, they've been flashes in the pan. We saw the best and the worst of EDG at Rift Rivals, where you have an incredible miracle performance from the likes of Scout, probably the best that he's ever played. You take a step back, you gasp, and you say, Edward Gaming, they've still got it, boys. And then you promptly see them collapse just the very next game, where everything falls apart. They're losing in their lane, some of their team fighting is very wonky and very bizarre drafting. It was the same thing against their RNG series, you know, they come in swinging, they have a great game with Haro, and then the very next game, when it goes to game 3, they're drafting things like Azir. And 8-13!
Well, we haven't seen the LPL stream of that chicken for a long time, and hasn't been looking too good for Edward Gaming. They need to try and fix something because they've been dropping matches since Rift Rivals. Sorry, they dropped 1 match since Rift Rivals. They didn't have a good performance during the best of 5 against the LCK in Rift Rivals itself. So something needs to change if this is one of the teams from the LPL that wants to head into Worlds. And there's an interesting matchup between Suning as well as EDG. It's going to be that top side matchup of Ray going against Xiao Ao, because before this split started, that was the contested top laner that EDG wanted to pick up.
Yeah, it's no surprise. Edward Gaming tried to throw a big sum to acquire Xiao Ao. They did not get his contract. They went back to Ray, who they'd have previous experience for. And so it's kind of this idea that if Ray doesn't perform today, that feels bad, because you're looking across at the dude that Edward Gaming had been trying to get for so long. And Xiao Ao, he's kind of the big hot thing coming up in the LPL, not just for Suning Gaming, but just in kind of the next level, the next wave of LPL Chinese talent. Now, huge numbers across the board. You can see on the bottom of your screen, and really you just have to think of him as kind of the next coming of Going. He's very good in the lane phase, he's very good in the team fights, just overall a very well-rounded top laner. And I would actually put Xiao Ao either top 3 or top 2 top laners in our league right now. I think just beneath the Shy, but only if the Shy is actually in form. I feel like right now the Shy has slipped down, and we have kind of this competition between Zoom and Xiao Ao about who is going to reclaim that top lane throw.
Because even during Spring Split, he looked fantastic on the top side of the map. He's going up against Ray, who has been a solid pillar for EDG so far.
Yeah, and Ray has great numbers across the board, but that said, Edward Gaming are winning a lot of their games. He has started popping off on picks like the Cannon. Look for that one. I think it has to be given either a respect ban or some sort of contest there, or at least Suning have to have something in the back pocket to deal with it, because he did go massive on the pick. But we still haven't seen a lot of the resources dedicated for Ray for him to actually shine. And that's just kind of been the curse of Edward Gaming. Like SKT, it feels like if you slide into that team, you are sliding into the cookie mold.
Well, we'll have to see if they're able to take it to Suning when they go into this match, especially the top lane matchup is one that we have to look towards. But Suning going to try and use Xiao to the advantage to take down EDG and say, you know what, too bad you didn't get our player. We're going to use him against you. We'll take a look at EDG's lineup. It is going to be Ray, Haro, Scout, iBoy, as well as Mako.
And no head or tails of Clearlight. We saw him place the trophy down at Rift Rivals, but he has not made an appearance, and Haro has recently been stepping up. Diversifying his champion pool is now Suning Gaming. It's Xiao Ao, Hacker, Angel, Fury, and Yoon. Angel most recently picking up that pentakill.
Yeah, looking good as the new mid laner for Suning. It was interesting to see him actually start for the squad, because there were a lot of questions around Knight's contract for Suning, and he has not played in the LPL so far. Then we saw Fenfen came in, and Fenfen really stepped up for Suning, so we said, you know what, even if Knight's not here, he could be a solid replacement for now. And then suddenly, halfway through the split, they bring in Angel, and he's looking like an even better upgrade.
Well, he definitely needs to cut his teeth against Scout, because Scout is probably playing the best that he ever has. A lot of signature picks. I think the Aurelia in particular. Edward Gaming, still one of the few teams that will go back and grab that Aurelia, whereas most LPL teams have moved away from the pick, and Scout is just phenomenal on it.
Has Scout improved coming out of Spring Split, or is it just that he's currently on form going into the last few matches he's played?
Ooh, I mean, the thing is Scout has always just kind of stood in the shadow of both Faker and Pawn. It was a question of what is his potential actually like? Where is that ceiling for Scout? And we've seen him scrape it a couple of times, and at Rift Rivals I feel like he really broke through it on that incredible Zoe performance. But what is one game out of the hundreds that we've seen in the LPL? So for me, I'm not ready to go all in on Scout and say that he's an S-tier mid laner, but he definitely has the respect of Edward Gaming, and he definitely has the respect of the other LPL mid laners. So just my opinion, they think very highly of him.
Well, Angel gets a chance to try and go up against him. Hopefully he doesn't shoehorn himself into an Emperor of Shurima pick going into this match, but let's get into the first game and send it over to our casters.
想要征服他人，必先战胜自己。EDG 的队名就是鞭策我们的动力。
Thank you so much, guys, and I like your shirt.
G'day, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So, let's get into what's happening with this game, because, again, we want to talk about the core narrative of Angel in the mid lane against Scout. Walk me through what's going on, because this new guy that's come in for Suning picked up a pentakill in the last set that he played.
Yeah, so Angel's one of those players that won't have a lot of hype, but he should have some degree of hype. He comes from Tyloo Gaming in the LDL. They were a very successful team in that league. That's the Challenger League of the LPL for those who don't know. Comes into the LPL, and in his first set, he was against Rogue Warriors. So you're not really sure what to feel about him specifically too much, but he looked good.
Yeah, here you can see that actual pentakill as you've got the knockups, it's all ready, and then Angel just comes in from behind.
And this is his second set, so it's against OMG, and he went from Doinby to Icon. So that's the thing you have to take from all of this, is his matchups were difficult in his first two sets, yet in this second one, he's still able to get a pentakill and able to look that much better than you would ever expect someone to be coming from the Challenger Series within the first two sets. Honestly, he's been very good, and he is a player that you have to watch, because the analyst desk mentioned it, Dom. He's now against Scout, and Scout is the best player in the world, but sometimes the worst player in the world. However, he is a very good benchmark for success.
Yeah, so I suppose this is the test then, because we have so many talented mid laners in the league with Rookie that Suning also need to play against if Angel ever gets the chance to run it against him. Xie, Xiao, who's so many massive names to challenge. And knowing that this is a priority for Suning to try to set up Angel for success in this series, could we see Haro try to prioritize this mid lane with Scout? Because we know Mako and Haro have a tendency to try to camp that lane if iBoy is safe.
I mean, it's entirely possible that they try and go towards Scout's lane. I know a lot of the time they go away from his lane, try and isolate the offense for Scout to have the 1v1, maybe go for the outplays individually, which he always does find himself capable of doing. For EDG, however, I do think a lot of that is relevant in the draft phase specifically. If they want to go mid lane, then you'll see some roaming capability in the bottom lane for Mako, and maybe some pushing coming out of iBoy down there. And iBoy always plays AD carry, so that's where I'm a little bit apprehensive to be like, you know, yeah, they're gonna go towards Scout's lane, they're gonna try and get him going, because at the end of the day, you need iBoy scaling. He's got that AD carry, and you want to get him weathered through that early game storm that most majors will play against him.
And we do have to ask this question, that why are EDG one of the teams that sticks to marksman so consistently? I think they're actually one of the few teams that has almost exclusively played marksman here in the LPL. But even so, we've seen Uzi step back, and the rest of RNG start trying to flex with funnel strategies, or Zatai Let Me plus MLXG Karsa.
And I think whilst Uzi has stepped back for injury reasons, we also have to look at why he is also only playing the marksman above all else. Because I think the logic is something that can carry through for both of these players, and that is that they are just so damn good at AD carries. Why would you take them off that when there is a higher chance of them still succeeding anyway, and the team is comfortable with that, or the player is comfortable with that? And for Uzi, I know it takes him a long time to learn certain things, so perhaps that really is why. I've no doubt he's been playing it in solo queue. Interviews, he said it's a wacky and wild world down there, and he can do what he wants, and he loves it. For iBoy, I think it's a similar thing. He's just so good at AD carries. Why make him play a mage?
It creates such a big scare then for Fury and Yoon, who have to deal with iBoy in that bottom lane, who is so very good at playing those AD carries, because this is the bottom lane that gave Uzi and Ming a run for their money in the finals in spring. This is the bottom lane that went to Worlds in 2017 as well. So there's a lot of experience that up-and-coming Suning need to contend with if they want to try to keep 4th place locked down.
But that is an interesting contrast that we'll have to consider as we get closer and closer to that draft phase, is that Fury was very quick to pick up mages. And he was very successful in the mages that he picked up. He looked outstanding. It almost felt like he didn't need to learn them, he already played them. That's how comfortable he felt. But at the same time, he's also played 6 AD carries so far this split, and if we include the cannon, then it's 7. He's been playing a lot of those ADs where applicable to the team composition, But at the end of the day, what do you ban from Fury is always a challenge, whereas the side of SNG Gaming can just remove the Lucian. It's the most banned champion against EDG to take that away from iBoy, knowing full well that they're going to play AD carries in that bottom lane. And so SNG, they could pick themselves an AD away from iBoy. They could pick a mage like the Vladimir and try and beat that bottom lane 2v2 down.
Yeah, I mean, currently Fury, he's played 13 AD carries. iBoy has played 5 different marksmen down in that bottom lane.
So we very
well,
laners.
Yes, again, bottom laners, people, champions in that bottom, playing people in the bottom lane. That would be even more impressive. But then you have to pair those supports up with that. The Yoon versus Mako matchup, where Mako is the shot caller. He's the guy who's providing direction for the team. He's also one of the best, if not the best, supports in the world.
Yeah, and the one thing that rings true between both of these supports is their obsession with the Rakan.
Yeah,
so that is something that, of course, first and foremost, it unlocks Xayah, but secondly, past that, really good engage, really good roaming, really good team play with the rest of your roster. So regardless of what your composition is, Rakan rounds it out with something extra. That's just the strength of the champion. But that's where we deviate from one another. There's a Shen priority for Yoon and a Tahm Kench you would expect from him, but not the case so far this split. Mako's actually the Tahm Kench player. So we find ourselves at a crossroad where both supports kind of want to leave the lane, just in very different ways, where Shen provides a lot of strength in the 2v2, potentially kill threat, and also is particularly powerful against AD carries with their W preventing auto attacks from going off. Tahm Kench wants to save the AD carry, continue to scale up to the mid game, and then roam with iBoy to the rest of the map.
Well, it looks like we seem finally ready to get into the pick and ban. We can stop theorizing about what they're actually going to pick and see it in just a moment, as the arena is relatively close to full. We've got a lot of fans here to check out EDG versus SNG Gaming, hoping that EDG can show us that they've still been learning since their loss to RNG. As we get into this pick and ban, Edward Gaming 6-2 taking on SNG in their fight to lock down 4th place in their own conference. We've got the Shen ban away from EDG, taken away from Yoon, Zoe banned away from Scout, but that does mean Talia will fall over to Haro, massive roaming champion.
Yeah, Talia available, but so is the Nocturne, so SNG Gaming may not be too concerned about that. Of course, they can just trade junglers across as they like. The risk of Talia is always the flex capabilities, where Nocturne, well, some people seem to believe he can flex into other roles. We haven't seen it, so.
Some people?
Some people.
Yes. The Smite Nocturne mid.
Okay, that was me.
Was.
I was referencing...
Some people, it was me.
I was referencing Vedius and his mid-Nocturne obsession, but Smite Nocturne mid is me.
Well, I'm technically falls into the category. You are some people, by all accounts.
People, yes.
As Swain is locked up for SNG, very powerful flex for the team, expecting it to go to Fury down in that bottom lane. That Camille, great answer for the Talia as well.
Yep.
Good at taking those scuttles early and trying to contest the early mobility of that Talia.
And still can flex. If Xiaowel wants to play it into a certain matchup, he can get himself that pick. So it's one of the strengths of that Camille in the second rotation. And with a couple of the target bans that we have seen here, Galio and Zoe taken away from SNG Gaming, away from Scout, well then it opens the floor to champions like this, the strong junglers and even the Swain running around.
Now this would be real interesting if the Talon were locked in this early, as, yeah, he's actually going to lock it right here, right now. Scout saying he wants out of that mid lane no matter what Angel can do about it.
Yeah, this is one of those... It's a weird draft decision, I would say, from EDG going for the Talon early. Now, usually if you see something like the Talon, he's going to do burst. He may not kill the target straight away, and it's about how can you hit that burst home on that single target. And if they go 1 damage composition, then you have to try and pick other things that prevent them from surviving. I think taking the Tahm Kench away from Yoon is a good first step on that regard, with the Shen already banned away. So now that the Tahm Kench is picked with the Talon, I do like it a bit more.
Perhaps that's why we also see the Shen ban from EDG, and even the Lissandra ban if Scout wants to get a bit frisky with Angel and try to solo kill him in the mid lane. But you talked about that Rakan earlier. That's now locked in for Yoon in the bottom lane. And now we start to see how this composition finishes out for SNG. As an attempt to answer EDG on the far side. They've already got that Camille for a lot of mobility, Talon to try to match it, but that's Aaliyah as well. The big thing that's missing from EDG has got to be a beefy tank. beefy front line, though. Somebody who can stand in front of this Swain and try to soak some hits.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a tank would go a long way here. Mundo, something for Suning Gaming that could be quite good. I was looking towards the mid lane personally here for Suning Gaming, really wondering what they will pick for themselves. And Orianna came to mind. Of course, Swain can flex towards mid if you would like, but Talon that have a fair amount of control in that 1v1. So I was even thinking towards perhaps the Lulu, and maybe there is a champion that Angel can play that we haven't seen. One of the reasons that he is so good in the Suning Gaming roster is that he is not an Aurelia one-trick,
Yes.
but he also has the Aurelia that is capable of being played.
Well, again, this is the big test for Angel. Can he go up against the double-edged blade that is Scout in the mid lane for EDG? We'll see what his answer is going to be as we get into this next round of bans. That Xayah taken away from the Xayah Rakan combo. No surprise to see EDG take that route. Of course,
That
Lucian
Ashe.
and Ashe banned away from iBoy. That Kaisa is still an option, so perhaps Suning will hold on to their last pick and hold the possibility of that Camille flex.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what EDG will ban here. If they ban the Kaiser away, then they're starting to run low on options for AD carries. Varus then stands to attention as the primary one remaining, and then you're looking at like the Ezreals. But keep in mind that champions like Jhin, I also think are starting to crop up as very strong options. Hail of Blades has enabled Jhin quite well.
We'll see if we get some creative bottom lanes with a Jhin, perhaps, as Ornn is banned away from Xiao Al in the top lane. So Ray asking for a more favorable matchup.
Yeah, opens the
Likely.
floor to the likes of a Mundo, but remember that things
Yeah.
like Kennen for Ray are still up and available. So pick yourself the tank top lane if you would like, but run the risk of Ray picking anything that he would like against you.
So now we see the Vladimir lock-in for Suning, and this gives us no clarity. As we still
Absolutely
can
none.
see the flex from Vladimir, from Swain. Suning keeping their options open, saving that pick 5 counter pick. Is that iBoy with a smile on the edge of his lips? Oh boy.
Maybe.
If I see iBoy smile, it gets a bit concerning.
Well, we saw a
Because-
Yasuo hover. We saw a
Yeah,
couple
yeah,
of mage bottom lanes hovered as well. It makes you wonder if he has been practicing, if he is going to bring one of those out. And let's say that this cannon is locked in.
Yeah.
We still don't know where EDG's composition is going, if the Morgana is actually going to be in the hands of iBoy.
Ray with some chuckles and
Kinda has
smiles.
to be already. Tom Kench secured,
Yeah. Tom Kench going to the bottom lane, unless that Morgana flexes top.
Look, it's happened before. I think it was Marin that played it, and it was bad.
What was it that we were just critiquing EDG for in their game against RNG, taking really wacky drafts with an Azir that ended up being wildly out of meta? Well, this time they're sitting comfortably within the meta, though, as Morgana is locked in that Kennen to follow. We'll see where it all shakes out for EDG, as Suning, they're still not showing us anything with these hovers.
I mean, if that's secured, then we're looking at maybe a Swain Rakan bottom lane with a Vladimir mid. They know the matchup, so it's about what do you want to put against the Talon, and what are you comfortable having against what I presume to be the Tahm Kench Morgana. We'll wait for the swaps to come across here, of course, from the side of EDG, but as the dust settles from these compositions, we did end up with just the Talia Nocturne in the jungle, and we do still have carries in the top lane for both carry players. This is pretty much what the team compositions for the individuals want to have. The compositions themselves, a bit wacky through the draft, but
Yeah.
the end result is still a solid and fairly well-rounded composition across the board.
Yeah, EDG, lots of mobility on that Talon, Talia, and the Abyssal Voyage from Tahm Kench to get around the map. Of course, Ray, with his teleport flanks on that cannon, finally gets a chance to get his hands onto a carry champion so far. He's played Gangplank twice, Aatrox once, and Kennen 3 times, of which he has a 100% win rate, a 4.5 KDA, as he's going up against Xiao Al on that Camille. So perhaps we will have ourselves a top lane focused day, as our first set was also focused on that top lane.
We certainly may. Of course, it's one of those things when EDG plays, where will they focus?
Exactly.
And you know very well where they will focus. So if we come into this and
But
we're
it's a
like,
Morgana. How
Well-
can they focus bottom lane if he's on a Morgana?
still Mako, still
Oh,
iBoy,
yeah, that's
still
fair.
EDG as a team. So, I mean, it's a very good lane to gank for. So perhaps they all come down there and get
Yeah.
fed instead. So
It's not even the CC coming out of Mako. He's got Tongue Lash for a slow, and then it's up to iBoy to land the stun. So even in that regard, they're taking the power out of Mako and investing it into that Morgana.
Perhaps so. Of course, a lot of the macro then does go into Mako's hands, which
Yeah,
seems to be
yeah.
perfect for the captain and shot caller of the team. Haro now coming into the roster. It's not Clearlove, 7 now Clearlove. I don't know why I added the 7. He's not going to be playing today, and it's Haro's birthday, so he gets a chance to jump onto the Rift and celebrate in style, as Mako and iBoy can come to him.
Yeah, that very well could be what we see. Following up on the Talia, who sets the pace of the game. Maybe as a birthday gift, he'll get the shot. Who am I kidding? That's how it's that going to happen.
I just realized
Suning
that
back
Suning
in.
Gaming are Harry Potter. It just occurred to me that they've
How
got the...
are Suning Gaming Harry Potter? The lion?
Yeah, the lightning on his head.
That is an old meme.
I just realized.
Are you having fun there in Jurassic Park, digging up old dinosaur bones of memes there, Rusty? Anyway, let's hear from the crowd on their support for EDG versus Suning. Now this is a maneuver. EDG preparing to step up. iBoy.
Yeah.
The binding. Even Ray is in there. All 5.
They're ready. That's their bush. Even Timo's in the bush.
Timo emote.
There's 6 people in there now, and of course Suning Gaming on the opposite side are just fanning. They're looking towards the red buff start. Now EDG can late invade if they would like. In fact, they're going to go now with a sweeper.
Haro leads the charge. Ward denied. You can see iBoy and Mako still just sitting there as they clear out the ward.
And that was some teamwork if ever I've seen it.
Oh, but Angel steps up in time to see this, and another ward is placed by EDG. As 5, they're invading the red.
And it's a smite talent, so he is going to start their Raptors instead.
Oh.
And this is interesting,
That
because
is
he
evil.
can get level 2. He can try and control the middle lane and go to his own, and that could be some power farming for a talent if ever I have seen it.
Ooh, that's the level 2.
Very clean
Picks
start.
himself up the rake. Let's see if he goes for, Noxian Diplomacy. Even iBoy getting an auto attack as Hacker tries to go for the red buff contest.
Found him.
Yeah, that's 1,
Oh, he's
2,
in trouble.
3. Tongue Lash is ready, but Mako, the rest of his team isn't there. Binding will land onto Yoon in the front. That's a flash knock up onto 2, but the emotes out of EDG. iBoy waving the white flag for Suning as EDG find first blood. The
Oh, he
flash,
got him.
the slow, the binding.
Oh my god.
Fury's dead. A double kill to iBoy. Yoon is about to go down as well. No grand entrance yet. A triple for EDG.
3-0 in kills at 2 minutes into the game. Wrap it up, boys. Scrim's over. Go next. It's a rough experience on the Rift here for
Ult at
Suning
4,
Gaming.
yeah.
And this is really bad. Now, the reason that it is worse than you even look at right now is that Suning Gaming are an early and mid-game team.
Yeah.
They're the side that's meant to be winning those trades, and then EDG come into the mid-game, maybe get some rotations and bring it back. But the opposite has happened here, and it has happened from level 1.
Oh.
And it is not stopping.
An absolute tragedy. Haro stealing away the blue buff now. Mako trying to help him finish it off as Haro doesn't quite yet have his smite. The quick shove! And he holds on to it. Happy birthday, Haro. You get double buff, but no assists.
He wasn't allowed to move there, or the reset
Yeah,
on
I know.
aggro would have been very
No.
tragic. But
Even when Mako passed it over, it was getting a bit iffy.
Oh,
as-
Angel.
Ooh, Angel. Yeah, like you said, this is his test. Scout has no items, but Haro steps up. A good shove, and Angel goes low. The flash auto. Haro!
I think he flunked the test there. We're having a really bad day on the Rift here, Suning Gaming. EDG looking fantastic. Let's not just say it's bad from Suning Gaming. Now, Angel could have flashed, but EDG, they pick him off.
And they do find themselves 4 kills to 0. 3 minutes in, nearly 2,000 gold ahead. Hacker, I think this is his first buff of the game.
Yeah, it looks
3.5 minutes in. There he goes.
from Scuttle. No, he's done. Okay, yeah, it's his first buff, but I think he went Wolves, Scuttle, Blue.
Ooh.
Trying to avoid the opposing junglers and support.
Sprinting away from Mako.
Of course, he was pushed away from red at level 1 when he tried to trade and tried to go for vertical jungling. And that's the biggest takeaway from all of this, is that EDG, they had a plan, and they followed that with a step 2 and a step 3, and they had all of the plans in place, and it worked for them. You can't just take our side of the map. iBoy holds mid, he gets a bit of fun, but also holds the wave there to stop the Swain from hard pushing, and then he comes down with the Tahm Kench to bottom lane via red buff, where they find the Nocturne. So everything going right here for EDG from the very beginning, as they planned.
And that's what we like to say about EDG. If they have the time to set up and plan in advance, their mid-game tempo control is the best in the league. But they had a plan for the early game this time as, Scout. He's holding on to the smite, steals away a large raptor before leaping away from the never move. Interesting.
Yeah.
The snare still carries through the vault.
Yeah, it doesn't help him with the tumbling. Doesn't cancel him halfway
Yeah.
or anything. Talon seems to complete it no matter what. He is a very committed parkour enthusiast.
He is. Well, you can't go half and half on parkour. I feel like that is a recipe for disaster.
That's fair. Halfway through a
So-
jump, you can't exactly regret the decision.
Decide to bail, yeah. But look at this, just constant pressure. Even Haro going for the invade to steal away the Gromp level 4 to Hacker's level 3. He's got a kill with challenging smite. That's a binding as iBoy walks up for damage onto Yoon.
Yeah, the only place that is even right now, Dom, is top lane. And even then, Kennen still has a decent semblance of control, going for the double Doran's Blade start for lane pressure. So he's not looking to lose that lane. He's looking to keep it at least at bay. May even go towards some armor next. We'll have to see. Of course, as he nears level 6, with no teleport available, may not go immediately towards the stopwatch for any kind of teleport dive threats. As EDG's mid laner.
Just taking everything,
Believe it
yeah.
or not, he's a mid laner.
Trying to get level 6, and already we can see Scout just roaming across the map. I mean, we wanted to see if this would be the test for Angel, but does this footage count if Scout is in the mid lane for only a third of the time?
I mean, he still just died without using his flash from
Well,
a
that's
Talia
fair,
gank.
yeah.
There are things here that are still brought into question.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, he did use his flash. That's why it's on cooldown.
We got flung first.
Yes. Getting hit by the fling before fly. I see. Control ward, Haro stepping up.
It's a level 4 Nocturne with no buff, so you're not taking that fight.
man.
You're backing away.
And look at that. Even the red buff is going to spawn soon, and Haro's already on this side of the map.
And in the race to level 6, EDG have comprehensively won. Their mid laner was 6 at 5 odd minutes. That's how fast he got there. And now because he is 6 and Haro has a level advantage over Hacker, there is no such thing as an even footing fight for Sunin Gaming. They have to just cut their losses as best they can. Xiaowao maybe soak experience and feel good about it because Angel's not coming to help. Hacker can't help you at all. And he can't even get level 6.
Already Scout stepping forward. That was the Predator channel to look for some extra vision and try to scare Hacker away. Maybe a smite contest on that. Ooh, iBoy missed that one.
That was cute though.
Going sideways instead of forward. Fury actually cancels himself out of the rush of blood.
Struggling
and
in
try
this
and
bottom
match there, yeah, but still now it's gone from 2,000 to 3,000 as the gold lead has ballooned outwards, specifically in that jungle camp and now in the top lane now that EDG has ganked it, what, twice?
Yeah, and I'd be hesitant to say that changes at all. In terms of the growth of this game for EDG, their gold lead just continuing to get better and better. I don't think that'll change around by any means. At level 6 onwards for EDG, nice little dodge. Once iBoy gets his shop in, once he ticks over to 6 and has the R available, then he can take people down and also Mako free to roam and unlock himself. I think that's when the dives start to happen. And it's very easy for them to execute on when they are this far ahead.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at for EDG. And for Sunin Gaming, you got to pick your battles, and I mean quite literally pick your battles. You cannot team fight your way through this.
Oh no, massive gold advantages for EDG. Already the Fiendish Codex for Haro as he's trying to finish off that jungle enchantment. You can see a Lost Chapter and a Blasting Wand for iBoy as he heads back bottom. And even in the top lane, that Vamp Scepter for Haro to keep himself topped up as Scout. He's got Mobies, and he's on the prowl.
It's 8 minutes into the game, and every stopwatch has just activated as well.
Yeah.
That's what you'd be looking at here. Scout now threatening towards the blue buff. He'll have the support of a Talia, a Tahm and a Morgana if he chooses to take a fight. All
Haro's
3 of
down
those having stopwatches.
Yeah. Haro's got his Weaver's Wall prepped. Hacker also has the Paranoia, but Haro's going to start things off. A control word, we'll see this, but look at the damage that he's doing to this buff just with the threaded volley. Flicks it back, a quick smite, and buff secure. Doesn't even need to bring the family.
Yeah, good maths actually there from Haro, knowing that if he flicks it towards himself, which is away from Hacker, whilst the aggro could reset, he knows how much damage he will deal to just smite that one away.
Look at that, 680 damage per minute on that Kennen out of Ray in the top lane. That damage might go down a little bit in this lane because of how passive Xiaowao is forced to play with EDG constantly patrolling the map as a 3-man gank squad, leaving iBoy completely alone. And I feel like this might be a lesson that iBoy has to learn, is if your support roams, should you fight?
I think the lesson is welcome to the meta, iBoy, because he is Morgana. It's almost impossible to gank, first and foremost. And when you look at who their opponents are, Vladimir and Rakan, there is a chance you can get that gank off, or at least even the 1v2, because you can burst through that shield.
Ooh, that's the Predator Rush of Blood, Hemoplague and Soul Shackles, but like you said, it's 1 versus 2. iBoy is ignited. Auto attack. Yoon actually backs away as Scout walks in with the Predator. Fury is the target. Can he get the kill? He flashes away. Yoon is able to walk it off as well, as teleport is cancelled by Angel in the mid lane.
That was pretty tragic from EDG, actually. Ignite goes onto the wrong target from Mako. Scout hits the blood pool with his ultimate bonus damage as well, so gets none of it off. And Sitting Gaming able to very effectively defuse that engage, or the counter engage, I should say, from the side of EDG. Now Hacker topside with ultimate, and EDG have revealed themselves bottom and even expended a lot of resources in the attempt of a kill there. There's a chance they could find themselves Ray. He doesn't have stopwatch, and he's not that strong just yet. He's got a CS lead, but the items aren't reflecting that.
And like you said, Suning need to pick their battles. That could be the target, as he's only just now getting his teleport back up. Like you said, not a lot of stats this early on, but instead with the wave building up, Ray's just playing it nice and safe. Hacker decides just to back away.
And you saw the risks that EDG also run by leaving iBoy alone in the bottom lane. And we said, you know, Morgana is a safe pick, but Suning Gaming's 2v2 can actually take that shield down, can actually kill you. So a lot of respect still needs to be given by EDG. However, if they are free to leave their lane, which they should be, then the chance of roaming and teleporting from iBoy to join the team fight is very high and should be successful.
For now, he's still sitting in that lane. Haro pinging down to the bottom as that Infernal Dragon looks like his target. Scout with that push is able to walk up as well, and Hacker is nowhere on the map. He's just completed a recall to finish off the enchantment on his jungle item. That challenging smite, that means Infernal is picked up with no challenge from Suning, though we're constantly seeing these good trades from Angel onto Scout. That Catalyst is getting him nice and tanky.
Yeah, also just the levels there from the Swain, so lower cooldowns and that higher base damage does do wonders for trading against the talent. Of course, it's just a smite in the mid lane, no ignite, so a lot less kill threat onto a Swain in general.
But look at this. No defense again in the bottom lane as Hacker is hanging out up top. I don't know if he's been spotted, but EDG just throw 4 members down to the bottom lane using that Talon roam, using Haro's mobility, and they break down first brick.
And I mean, spotted or not, in the top lane, Ray knows. There's nowhere else for him to be right now. I haven't recalled in a significant amount of time, and I have a lot of items that I want to purchase. Yet, the Camille is pressing up on me, constantly trying to maybe look for an opportunity to hookshot me, so he does back away. You could see it on the minimap, respecting and letting it get pushed in towards him, knowing that, I mean, it'd be risky. They wouldn't dive me. That much is certain.
And with that safety, he's getting a slight CS advantage over Xiao Al as Scout is just taking every jungle
Poor
camp
Haro,
he can get
man.
his eyes on. It's supposed to be Haro's birthday, not Scout.
But that's the thing. Like, I'd say poor Haro, and I don't really mean it. Because, like, just look at the CS differences and then realize that Haro's doing great. It's Hacker that's struggling because he's been in the other jungle while Scout is taking Haro's.
Oh, the tragedy of playing against that Smite Talon. Now we do see a recall completed out of Scout as he heads back towards that mid lane, perhaps to follow up on iBoy and Mako. Ray is already heading bottom to keep that focus down there as he doesn't have to worry about a dragon fight. Rift Herald is now the target for EDG. They are just ticking the names off of the list.
Yeah, this all makes sense, really. The strong side of the map should be where the objective is, and because the dragon is already gone, Shelly was the next thing on the agenda, on the list to take. I mean, so they send everything up here to take it. Even Ray going down bottom lane, walking very early. There's a clear sign that EDG have got the plan. They're just executing the plan, and Sitting Gaming really haven't thrown anything into the works to try and stop it yet.
And we wanted to see EDG recover after their series against Royal Never Give Up. This seems like a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah.
If they show us this convincing a performance. Now, Swain and Rakan, not exactly known for having a lot of wave clear, as Rift Herald has been summoned, but the wave is going to stop Shelly from getting her charge off.
For the moment, of course, you can see the rotation from Hacker and from Xiaowel. If they want to fight, now is the moment.
That's the quickness engage onto Mako in the front. He manages to pick up iBoy and reset it with the Soul Shackles from inside. Fury hops underneath, tries to get the heal. He's able to get himself up, but with Ray teleporting in, a huge Demon Flare gets a lot of damage, and finally the quick flash is going to trade over another kill, but at what cost? Yes, they managed to find one, but they've lost 3, and Shelly is still going.
Yeah, they're losing turrets at the same time. Xiaowel has been putting in a lot of work, and Sitting Gaming, ultimately, they still do okay in that fight. It's not reflected through the kills, and that's the real tragedy here for Sitting Gaming as the end result. It looked promising, but EDG still get that straight victory as a result of the fight, and things still going well and truly in their way, even with Shelly added into the mix.
On the upside, it's not a perfect game for EDG.
Hey, that's true.
Are on the board, but it's 5,000 gold. Weavers.
Oh!
Oh
my god, he's
and
on.
there goes the ultimatum. Ray's actually on the wrong side of this. Haro is doing damage. Ignite burns him down. Yoon goes low. And Ray gets the kill. Even turning onto Xiao in the back. Oh, that's a lot of damage coming out from the Precision Protocol Q2, but a double kill for Ray, 2-0-3.
Yeah, Xiao desperate. Ray knows his damage, and in the end, he is there to pick up the slack. And one of the most amusing interactions that you'll see from a Talia with the Camille following no matter what. Now, you see the fight that happens in the mid lane. Fury gets bursted out, so he is just left to die sooner or later. Ray coming in does most of the work here, frankly. And whilst he doesn't have the stopwatch, doesn't need it, because no one's touching him. Xiao flashing just to get the kills. Scout's been free to burst that entire time, and if Mako's the only one that dies from EDG, then you'd say that was a pretty good fight.
Even the damage that we saw out of Angel with the 5-man fully charged Demon Flare wasn't enough to try to reset that. And you said Suning need to pick and choose their battles. Well, they chose. Not entirely sure if it balanced out in the end with 3 turrets to 0, 9 kills to 2.
And they're close to one of the perfect fights. Of course, if the Vladimir had entry with the Swain at the same time, the Hemoplague hitting multiple targets, then maybe people died. Like, much more.
A lot more people.
Yeah, more than just the one. In saying that, of course, EDG still.
Are you saying you don't think Mako is people?
Mako is and people. He is not the people.
Well, exactly. Well, now shot calling for EDG. He brings his team down to the bottom tier 2. And with Scout pushing up in the mid lane, the wave is slowly going to be cleared out. But the next minion wave is on the way. As Mako takes a few hits, Ray is able to auto attack onto this turret. Just moving back and forth between this triangle of vision. Scout has actually been finishing off this mid tier 2. Yoon looks for entrance. Doesn't find it as the turret is broken down. That's the quickness, but a binding lands on the Angel. He has no way in, and Yoon is dead.
Yeah, he just gets one flicked. EDG still pushing forwards. They've got the wave here, and Haru has not stopped.
Yeah, threaded volley and the Predator. They're pushing onto the Inhibitor turret right now, and Scout smells blood in the water and finds himself a kill.
Very easy kill, and another member dies. So with that, 28 seconds. No Vladimir is in the base, and Camille nowhere to be seen running through the jungle. They're just going to break it.
Xiao Al has been spotted, and like you said, they've got enough damage to take a 17-minute Inhibitor turret. They don't finish off the inhib. But this is a lot of safety now missing from Suning as EDG accelerate the game. They're 8,500 gold ahead, 17 minutes in. They're getting 500 more gold than Suning per minute.
Yeah, they're getting spanked.
Oh, yeah.
Suning Gaming having a very bad day. It's now 9,000 to be a lot more considering how many turrets are still available to be taken. And at only 17 minutes in the game, not even a thought can be moved towards that Baron buff. Not for a couple of minutes yet. So ultimately, EDG in the driver's seat, now starting to play with their food a little bit more. You'll notice a Magi Soul Stealer.
Yeah, well, look, iBoy, he's the guy who had the emotes in the beginning of the game as well. So maybe he's just trying to send a bit of a message to Suning Gaming. He dropped the surrender flag as he first saw them, and then dropped it again after they got the double kill bottom. So,
a Dido fan.
Yeah, the classic. And now Ocean Dragon is the target for EDG. They are just slowly and methodically set to finish this game off.
I mean, that's it, right?
Yeah.
At this point in the game, you're expecting them to win. There should be no reason that Suning Gaming can come back. So you're looking at, instead of, can they win? It's how do they win? How good do they look when they do win? How long is it going to take? And is that okay, for them to continue to scale up? And for me, I think they want to try and end this one as efficiently as they can, but as fast as they can, with a Talon to one-hit everyone, with the potential to 1-3-1 or even 3-2 to have a Talon and a Cannon in the same lane if they would like, assassinate the Camille.
As
the map's their oyster.
Absolutely, as is always the motto of EDG, prove them wrong with results. Well, this is absolutely the first result for this team.
iBoy's having a bad day.
Oh boy.
Unshackle me, minions.
Really? You can see him laughing in his chair right now.
Guys, I have encountered a bug.
Hearty chuckle. Yes. I have become a minion. Turns out Morgana is also good at minions. Ooh, yeah. He's still got the Hextech ultimatum. Let's see if he tries to dodge anything with this. But Ray,
he's out of range
from this one. Oh no! And the Abyssal Voyage as well. Only mildly.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be just a kill, nothing really game-changing.
And look at that. 5-man overcorrection from EDG down to the bottom lane to keep him safe. There's only a single tier 2 standing.
And you know what? Here's the thing. I think that Xiao would have died and Ray would have lived. So I, for one,
played out.
am kind of glad that he wasn't in range to press that R button, or things would have gone sideways, I think, there for SNG Gaming. And the reason I think that, because I'm not just a madman,
Yes, you are an analyst.
is that the Tom Kench came in within a second, and there's a stopwatch for
and
the cannon.
iBoy. Yep.
So really the chance of getting that kill was a lot lower than it looked,
Slim
whilst
to
it was
none.
a nice start from Chava.
Yeah. Slim to none, and Slim's out of town. As much like Suning at this point, they are down nearly 9,000 gold. Dark Binding, look at the damage that Binding does just from the Luden's Magi's.
He wants those stacks, iBoy.
Oh yeah.
Pretty serious damage coming out now with those bindings and the puddles when they hit. It's only 3 points in the bindings. That's
Oh,
surprising.
that's the flash engage. They're found iBoy. He's picked up by Mako. Meanwhile, Scout's forced to back out of this one. He gets a quick burst onto Hacker. There's another binding. Demonic Ascension onto Angel. He demon flares early to pop off some damage, but much like his team, they are just not doing too well in this game. 2 members down.
Yeah, it's desperation and nothing less from that. The young blood reaches a little bit too far. They step up and they are promptly put
Whoa.
down, as of course iBoy knows that he's not going to take the fight needlessly. But we are finally 20 minutes into this game, Dom.
Yes.
Feels like we're 40 in with how comprehensive the control has been from EDG. That means that Baron is up and available.
You can see Xiao Al is there along with Yoon in the mid lane. They're not heading over there just yet, but the Baron is just being immediately rushed down by EDG.
Yeah.
And no contest. They take it down. 6 turrets to 0, 13 kills to 2. And Edward Gaming, I would say they're in the lead, but I feel like that's a bit rhetorical at this point.
Yeah, I think we say that SNG Gaming are being put through the rinser.
Oh yeah.
The spin cycle on their heads at the moment, having a
The
bad
wash. Yeah.
day. Yep.
Having themselves a tumble dry.
it's one of those games, though, like, you know, you come from this and people are like, oh, that's a tilter for SNG Gaming. I mean, not really. They were done from 2 minutes in.
Yeah, you disconnect 3 minutes after
They're
this
probably
game.
just getting through the game as best they can. I personally would hope this doesn't tilt the team,
Yes.
because it was over from
That's
that early.
always the hope that the players and the teams don't get tilted. In what scenarios do you ever look at a team and say, gosh, I hope they get tilted right now?
I'm not going to answer that one.
Okay. Sure.
There are some teams that I wish would just get tilted. And
Sometimes.
yeah, and not all the time.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm also not going to name names. I'm going to keep this intentionally vague.
Sure, sure.
That they would just get tilted and lose a bit quicker.
Ah, okay. I think I know which teams you're discussing.
Probably.
Okay, Xiao Al, he's coming in for the flank. They found Mako. He flashes back. Dark Shield onto iBoy. The knockup. Mako goes low. He's pulled back in. Somehow he's still alive. Picks up iBoy. Brings him back as EDG finds a secondary fight. Ray over the wall. Finds himself a kill. And EDG, are they actually going to turn around this 5-man engage onto 2 people without losing a single member? I cannot believe it, Edward Gaming.
Run
Scout,
away, Yoon!
He's on the chase. He's on the prowl.
There's too many walls.
Oh, you can't outrun the Talon. Holds his ground, gives it the old S click.
It's
and
over.
EDG turn onto the Nexus in a 23-minute shellacking.
Yeah, 22.5 minutes in, EDG have absolutely stomped their opponents. It's only game 1, but they look very clean.
18 kills to 2. They turn onto the Nexus and break it down. Like you said, Rusty, this is EDG taking game 1.
And where has this EDG been all my life? Is the kind of thing that you can take away from this one. And a lot of this was the level 1. A lot of this was the early aggression from them, but damn, they made that look good after.
Oh yeah. Suning, they have given their birthday present to Haro in that game 1. But
Everybody
now,
gets one.
Now it's time for Suning to come back and recover in this game 2 and try to challenge this team, challenge this series, because like you said, that early game decided a lot of it, but still Suning, they were so strapped to respond to how efficient Edward Gaming are. At least were in that game 1. I think that's some of the most efficient rotations early game that we've ever seen from this team.
And it looks pretty good overall from EDG. It's hard to fault them. Of course, there were moments maybe where things could have gone a bit awry if the game was even, but it definitely was not. And you could see that EDG were just having, you know, a little bit of fun added to it, a bit of extra flavor into the game. And at the end of the day, EDG looked good. SNG Gaming, I respect the way that they lost. It wasn't a gracious defeat. They didn't stop themselves from dying. They threw themselves at their opponent, and I think that's one of the key separators between us and the LCK. It's instead of, you know, waiting for your opponents to make a mistake, they acknowledged they were behind, and they said, well, we'll just throw ourselves at them, throw the kitchen sink with us, and even tell Raz's mum that we're throwing the kitchen sink beforehand, because it's a really big deal here.
It really is.
And they just lost faster.
It was a very efficient win for EDG, and Suning embrace the LPL way. Like we said, they are one of the best, if not the best, early game teams in the league, and when you take that away from them, you've got to wonder how this team can recover. And now we've got to look towards this game, too, and see whether or not they can get the mental reset, because we still saw some good plays. Angel got a massive 5-man Demon Flare for huge damage after being against a roaming talent in that lane, so there still is potential.
I mean, if there's anything you take away from that game, there is solace in the fact that your team fighting still looked decent.
Yeah.
You just lost very early, so I expect very easy mental reset to be seen from Suning.
That's the big hope for the team, but that said, it's now time for our analysts to break down that Game 1 win by EDG.
Thanks, guys. I like what the cast was saying at the end there. It's no matter what you take away from that match, everything comes back to the level 1 fights, which ultimately set up EDG Zoos for success from the very get-go.
Yeah, it was probably the most aggressive level 1 that we've ever seen from Edward Gaming. They're normally not a team that set up level 1s like this. They like to split the map, and this was the big key for me. It wasn't just the delay and fade that they did with Mako and Iboy on the top side, but it was immediately rotating their duo to check the red buff and to deny the late rotation from Hacker as he was trying to prevent getting 3-buffed. And then from bad to worse, the fact that the CC chains connected, that Iboy looked so confident on the Morgana. At this point, as Rusty said, GG, go next.
Yeah, pretty much. If that was a scrim, that scrim
You don't
would have been
finish
over.
that.
You go to the next game, you just remove that one from the memory and, you know, start over a brand new best of 3 series. But unfortunately, competitive match in the LPL, Suning tried to play through it. And as much as they tried to fight back, as much as they kept trying to take it to EDG, that setback was just way too much, and they couldn't find the avenues to get back into the game.
Yeah, it was also the fact that you had so many comfort picks across the board. Haro has really started to define himself between him and Clearlove. Yes, he's the primary starting jungler, but a lot of that has been on champion pool. So making sure that they had the priority pick of the Talia, Ray gets a hold of his Kennen, Iboy is stretching for the Morgana, and then Scout lands on the Talon. So a very mid-game tempo-focused composition. We know that that's the pocket that Edward Gaming like to play in, and you get all those early kills, it means that you get to rock into mid-game and just smash people.
And you talked about Kennen before we went into this match.
Yep, I thought it would be contested, and they gave it to him.
They just let him play it in the top lane, and Ray bodied everybody on the side of Suning with that Kennen pick.
Yeah, and the big turning point, despite all of the bloodshed that happened in the early game, was in that mid-game fight when Ray got that beautiful flank. Yeah, a lot of the Swain damage came through, but Ray was really the savior here because it looks dicey for Edward Gaming, kind of in this moment. You're like, oh, I don't know if they come back, but Ray comes in with the TP, everyone's grouped up, flashes in, and at least not just doing damage to 2 members, but zoning Xiao and Yoon out of the fight so they can't follow up.
It was good timing as well, because it's right after Mako was able to save him and Iboy didn't have any damage going down during his hourglass. And then we see him again.
Yeah, back to back, and Ray held his own into the lane phase, made use of the team fights, and you know, at the top of the day, we were asking Edward Gaming, they threw a lot to try to get Xiao. That was the big top laner that they've been chasing for so long. So Ray really had to prove his mettle here. It would feel bad if you are the top laner that they settle for, that they end up with. And no, not just settled, trained up, happy to have him back and performing like that.
And we said that the Kennen's a big pick. He plays it, he shows up, and that's exactly what he would have wanted to do against Xiao, because everyone knows that EDG wanted that pick, as you said. But he wasn't the only person from EDG that performed well. Scout seems like he's going to continue following through with his form. Picked up Talon in the mid lane and had a decent performance in the champion.
And a lot of that has been Scout synergy building back up with Haro. Like, don't get me wrong, Scout played well on the Talon, did his job, but I feel like a big thing was how confident Haro was being on that Talia. I liked the early itemization of the Zhonya's Hourglass, especially across from a Nocturne, because constantly when Talia has all that gold and they're trying to dive in or catch Talia out, when she's setting up her walls, you know, separated from her team, has the Hourglass able to absorb a lot of the initial advance and then wait for the rest of his team to catch up.
Yeah, well, Haro gets a nice stopwatch for his birthday, but a Scout that picks up the MVP for Game 1, putting on a phenomenal performance on Talon. 7, 0, and 8 on that roaming Talon with Smite.
And at what point am I going to change my mind on Scout and actually resign myself that he is one of the best mid laners in the LPL? I don't know if I'm willing to give him top 3. The rest of the LPL doesn't agree with me. They say he's the second best mid laner in LPL, oftentimes the best mid laner, even over the likes of Rookie. But I haven't seen the consistent enough performance, but if he keeps playing like this, I'll change my mind.
Last split, statistically, he was, and a lot of the Chinese fans thought that he was as well.
That's how I do my analysis. I just look at the numbers. I'm like, yes, KDA. Quite good.
He was quite good at that match. He definitely had the KDA to prove it as well. But that's Game 1 going over to EDG. We're going to go into a very quick break, and we'll be back with Game 2 in just a bit.
想要征服他人，必先战胜自己。EDG 的队名就是鞭策我们的动力。